In December 2010, police discovered four dismembered bodies buried in the brush near Gilgo Beach. By April 2011, 6 more sets of remains were discovered, stretching across a 9-mile radius. Authorities believe the true victim count could be even higher. Gilgo Beach Killing, a series of cold cases occurring over a decade, between 1996 and 2011. For years, the case remained unsolved, fueling speculation, fear, and countless theories. But years of building a case and gathering evidence made authorities make an arrest in 2023. Rex Heuermann, a Manhattan architect, was arrested. How did authorities track him down after all these years? And more importantly, what evidence they have to prove he is the Long Island killer? Welcome back to Prison Stories. This documentary covers the Gilgo Beach Killings, a chilling case that remained unsolved for over a decade. We'll explore how the case progressed, the years of investigative dead ends, and the shocking arrest of Rex Heuermann. Though he claims innocence, what case have authorities built against him? Let's find out. A cold December morning in 2010, a Suffolk County police officer, John Malia, along with his dog, was on a routine search. He was looking for 24-year-old Shannon Gilbert on this lonely stretch of highway, Ocean Parkway. Shannon Gilbert had gone missing months earlier after making a frantic 911 call, claiming someone was after her. As the officer and his dog moved through the tall, dry grass, something caught their attention: a burlap sack partially buried in the sand. Inside was the body of a woman, long decomposed, her remains carefully wrapped. But this wasn't Shannon Gilbert. Investigators soon realized they had stumbled upon something much bigger. It was the body of Melissa Barthelemy, a 24-year-old woman who had been missing since July 2009. Melissa was found wrapped in burlap, a detail that would later become a signature in the case. Her discovery led to an expanded search of the area, which uncovered 3 more victims in the following days. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, missing since 2007, Megan Waterman, missing since 2010, and Amber Lynn Costello, missing since 2010. These 4 victims were later referred to as the Gilgo Four. All these women have many similarities. They were petite, all were in their early 20s, worked as an escort on Craigslist, and went missing. Melissa's case had one disturbing element that set it apart. In the weeks following her disappearance, her teenage sister, Amanda Barthelemy, received a series of terrifying phone calls from Melissa's phone. Someone was taunting her, making lewd comments and hinting at what had happened to Melissa. He also told her in last call that her sister was dead. These calls were traced to Midtown Manhattan, but they were too short for police to pinpoint an exact location. The horror expands. More bodies, more questions. In the months following the discovery of the Gilgo Four, authorities expanded their search beyond the immediate area. If a killer had been using this coastline as a dumping ground, there could be even more victims. Their suspicions were confirmed in March and April of 2011, when 6 more sets of remains were found along Ocean Parkway, stretching the crime scene across a 9-mile radius. These discoveries deepened the mystery. Unlike the Gilgo Four, some of these victims had been killed years, possibly even decades earlier. Some were dismembered, with only partial remains found. Others were identified only years later due to forensic advancements. These victims were Jessica Taylor, a 20-year-old sex worker from Washington, D.C., last seen in 2003. Her skull and hands were found near Gilgo Beach in 2011. Valerie Mack, originally unidentified, known as Jane Doe No. 6, missing since 2000, also partially found in Manorville before additional remains were located at Gilgo Beach. Baby Doe, the remains of a toddler, estimated to be around 2 years old, were discovered wrapped in a blanket near one of the adult victims. Peaches, an adult woman found near Baby Doe, named after a distinctive peach tattoo on her body. Asian male, a male victim, believed to be transgender or non-binary, found wearing women's clothing. Authorities suspect he may have been killed in the early 2000s. The discovery of so many different victims, spanning different years and different methods of disposal, raised a disturbing possibility. Was there more than one killer? With some victims dismembered and dumped in multiple locations, and others left intact in burlap sacks, investigators began to suspect that multiple predators could have been using Long Island as their hunting ground. On January 16, 2020, Suffolk County Police released images of a belt found from the crime scene with letters HM or WH. Police believed it was linked to the perpetrator and did not belong to the victims. As the investigation unfolded, authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the evidence. But with no clear suspects, the case became an unsolved mystery. A profile of the killer was made. He should be white male in his mid-20s to mid-40s and has access to burlap sacks. A psychological profile was developed, suggesting the killer might be someone with a clean, respectable exterior, someone who could blend in and lure victims without suspicion. Police followed several leads, but most were dead ends. It wasn't until 2020 that the investigation would take a shocking turn. New advancements in DNA technology led police to believe they had a fresh lead, one that would bring them closer than ever to identifying the killer. It was during this process that investigators were able to identify a DNA profile from one of the victims' remains that was remarkably similar to a genetic match found in public databases. Using this new lead, authorities began to track down individuals who might be connected to the killer. Soon, they find a suspect, a man living in Manhattan, a 41-year-old architect named Rex Heuermann. The breakthrough was nothing short of shocking. Heuermann's name had never appeared in connection with the case before. He was a well-respected professional with a family, but investigators soon uncovered chilling details. Authorities began to seriously consider Heuermann as a suspect in March 2022 after discovering that a dark green first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche vehicle, registered in his name, had been linked to one of the killings by a witness. On July 13, 2023, after years of painstaking investigation, the authorities finally closed in on their prime. They linked Heuermann to the case through a combination of circumstantial evidence and witness testimony. It was discovered that Heuermann had placed multiple online ads, often seeking the services of sex workers, ads that had been linked to the same area where the victims had been found. Additionally, a cell phone tower was able to confirm Heuermann's presence in the areas near the crime scenes around the time the victims were believed to have been killed. But the real clincher came with a match to DNA collected from Heuermann's discarded pizza crust, a piece of evidence that would ultimately tie him to the brutal killings. Another evidence was a DNA found on the belt from one of the victims' body. It was not related to Heuermann, but it was related to his wife. Though she was not part of crime, but possibility was that belt was at his home. In July 2023, Rex Heuermann was arrested near his home in Manhattan. As he was taken into custody, his shock and disbelief were evident, but the evidence against him was undeniable. In addition to the DNA, investigators found a series of disturbing photographs and evidence at Heuermann's home search. Among the most chilling were images of the victims, which were found in Heuermann's personal files. Authorities so uncovered terrifying documents, a document with details of his crimes, what he learned, what he needed to do next to improve. Lessons from past crime. Looks like he wanted to improve his crimes. A terrifying list named TRGs was recommendations for potential victims. Additionally, the evidence suggested that Heuermann had stalked his victims before striking, as investigators found notes and diagrams on his computer that seemed to indicate a deep obsession with the victims and crime scenes. To further build their case, police conducted searches of Heuermann's vehicles and office. They discovered several weapons and other items that appeared to be consistent with the way the victims had been restrained and disposed of. They also found maps of the Oak Beach and Gilgo Beach areas, pinpointing locations where bodies had been dumped. As of now, the Gilgo Beach killings remain one of the most chilling and notorious serial killer cases in modern criminal history. Rex Heuermann is facing multiple charges of murder, and authorities are working to ensure that all the victims are brought to justice. Though Heuermann has maintained his innocence, the overwhelming evidence against him has made it clear that he is the killer responsible for the brutal slayings over the span of more than a decade. The case has sparked new interest in DNA technology, genetic genealogy, and the growing role they play in solving cold cases. For the families of the victims, the arrest of Heuermann has brought some measure of closure, but the process of ensuring justice is far from over. As the case moves through the courts, more details may emerge about the true extent of Heuermann's crimes. Thank you for watching Prison Stories. If you found this documentary informative, make sure to like and subscribe for more in-depth investigations into real-life cases. Don't forget to share this video to help spread awareness. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.